Right, welcome to the start of the second part of the video putting this thing together. I'm just about finished here. I got a few odds and ends to do. It's actually Easter weekend, Monday. I've just come down. I just want to try and get the last few bits and pieces on brake rods and bits and pieces like that, just so if they want to push it around or try and stop it or whatever, they should better push their foot on the brake pedal and it should stop. In theory, got a few odds and ends. Tighten up the windscreen frame and whatever. You know, we popped that in on yesterday and threw the front wheel on and had a bit of a tidy up, sorted some tools. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So yeah, we'll see at the end of the video, later on in the video, and we'll get these last few bits and pieces done. So yeah, we'll go back a few days. Right, see you then. Right, we got a door on. It took me freaking a wee bit to work out what hinge, because they're all painted. Now, it was a bit hard to tell them apart. So I figured out that this one here was slightly longer, not actually in the casting, but where the pin was positioned in this hinge. It says they're all the same, but just it was slightly longer because I put the first one in and the door was kicked up quite high. It still frickin' rubs down there, which is a pain. It's not as bad as it was. And unfortunately, even with having that frickin' blanket on there, you can see how soft the paint is. It's left a little mark in it and a couple of little spots. Yeah, it really needs probably a month to harden up, and then it could be wet sanded and buffed. I can't do much about these frickin' door locks either. Just kind of how it hangs. Definitely doesn't close as nice as the sturdy, but it looks alright. So we got that little copper door insert back in, and that wee brass one back in. I just gave the handles, this handle, a quick sand with some 800, and then gave it a wee buff just to kind of shine it up, just to make it look decent for a wee while. I haven't put these in yet. I'm not worried about them yet. But yeah, I'll do the other back door, I think, next. I'll see which one works out to be the easiest. I've still got to get in the front a little bit, so I'm not panicked about the front doors yet. I might get the other back door on. I've done that bolt up. I haven't done the end of the others up yet, so I'll probably do that one next as well before I put the door on, just so I know that the body's pulled down to where it's going to sit with the doors. So yeah, because I had to hunt through these doors, the hinges, sorry. Yeah, that pin on that one, just for some reason, just however it was, it didn't look any longer in here, but it just sat slightly further that way, and it just made that door sit down a little bit nicer. So it's the front. I don't know there yet. Which one's that one? Feels like it might be the other back one, is it? That might be the other front, I think. Yeah, I want this one. Pain in the ass. Not near in order, but it's alright. Yeah. I'll put the phone down. I'll grab the freaking door out of there. And then we can hook the hinges up and whatever, and put the door lock in it, and I can give the handle a sand and whatever, and we'll get that on. I'll try to get the inside of the door a bit of a buff, just to get a wee bit of the overspray off, just to try and clean it up in the meantime. Not that it really matters too much, but trying to just make it look a bit tidier. There actually should be some inserts of timber too somewhere, but I think he may have taken them away. It's actually slipping those door pieces. It's like, because there's a pocket on the panel, original panel, there's like a bit of timber that actually sits at the bottom of the door, like in that little piece. It must just so shit doesn't fall right down in, so you can get it out. But yeah, we'll get another door on, get that bolted up. I haven't really looked at the stuff too much. I just kind of left it alone, obviously, you know, because it'll be soft. That was one thing with that paint. It did harden up quicker because it was commercial paint. It's designed to be, it's like truck sort of type paint, so it was a bit harder. That went off and cured up within a couple of days. You could sort of polish it, if you know what I mean. Whereas this stuff seems to be like it's been painted since Monday, now Friday, so we're basically 4 days into it, and it's still, if you're not careful, it's all mark. I put these on here just to try and stop it, but you know, just to give something a little bit softer to sit on. But anyway, I'll carry on. Righty, so I got 3 doors on, but I'm going to have to take this bastard off. Must have the top and bottom door hinge are in the wrong way, because there's a stopper thing in there, and it's catching this hinge. I looked at them and they didn't look really any different, but they must be just slightly different heights in the back piece where the things, because I had them in there. This is the only 2 hinges left, and this one fucking closed. Unless I've got the wrong hinge on here, which wouldn't fucking surprise me. But yeah, we got that one on. It shuts actually better than kind of that one. I need to make, well, it needs those bump stops like I put in the studio. I think I might have a couple made somewhere, but I haven't got enough material to make them. It really needs them. I'll show them I'll cut them a piece off. I've only got a little short bit left, I think. Just tell them to go buy some of that and with a craft knife and pop it in there. Mind you, they need buffed down though too, but yeah, if they work, then I could probably make them as well to put them in there. But yeah, I got 2 pallets of frickin' grass seed in there for this worked up ground. There's 80 acres, whatever it is, in hectares, I don't know. But yeah, 80 acres, I think it is. It's a big, massive field, paddock, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, so yeah, I'll have to pull this door back off and swap the hinges around, and hopefully it closes this time. Because I actually had them around the other way and I put it on. I was having troubles getting the pins to drop in. And I was like, oh, maybe I got them around the wrong way. So I swapped them around and that went in. I was like, oh, sweet. But now the fucking door ain't closed. So the only other thing I can think of is maybe, I could be wrong, but actually, no, it'd have to be one of the other hinges. No, it can't be, unless it's that one. I'd have to check that. Yeah, but we'll see. No, it can't be, because that's the only one that frickin' makes that door sit properly. But, yeah. It is what it is. She looks pretty good, though. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. It is going to rub in a few places. There's not much I can do about it. I wish it wouldn't, but it's just the way it's built. And you can only work with what you did. The biggest pain in the ass is actually straightening some of this stuff out. I probably should have left it kicked out. I straightened some of that up a little bit, and that's probably the reason why it was kicked out, was to help clear this stuff. So I don't really want to bend it now. Pain in the butt, but oops, I shouldn't say it so quick, so hard. Does it actually bump the steel? Yeah, no, it doesn't actually. It doesn't actually hit it, thankfully. Probably would if you hit it hard enough, but yeah. So I was like, yeah, nice. No, what's going on there? Yeah, there's that frickin', there's no tab in here to catch on. Down in here, there's like that tab, and it must be hitting on here. I'm assuming this one might be just a little bit lower. I can always bend it out. I could always bend it out so it misses. Right, morning troops. So, back here again. I've just been screwing around with doors and bits and pieces this morning. So got the doors on. I've still got to put the door handle and everything on that side. That's easy fit. I had to, again, because I didn't quite know which hinges fitted where, I had to muck around with it, and I actually ended up bending that piece in there because I had the hinges switched out of the way, and I wonder if that hinge is actually meant to be on this door, but that actually fits nicely now. It doesn't hang low. When I can remember, I'd have to go back through the videos, but if I can, I might throw a video up when I walk around this, and you can see some of the doors hang really low, like they're down really low, but with that hinge on that door, it sits fairly even like this one. This one fits all right now too. Like it's not perfect. Like they're down a little bit, but they're not real late. They could do to be up. But I've worked out if you swap those two hinges around, and then I think I actually slotted the holes in the door a little bit, just so I could slid in there and I undid the screws and then lifted the door and just with one hand obviously tied it up with the other and just got it to sit a little bit nicer. It's not perfect, but yeah, I think probably if I put that hinge back on that door it would be better too, but you know, what do you do? When you're working with one lot of stuff and then this one here sits down a bit too, it would be nice if this set up too, but again, I don't know if I've got exactly the right hinge. You know, it could have been that one that was on here that made it sit different. But this little brass collar, and I'm freaking pretty sure they're all there. I am amongst the bits and pieces. I just can't locate it at the moment. Hopefully I get a bit more stuff cleaned up. I'll find it. I think it was there. But, yeah. So that fits alright now. The biggest problem with these things, because this all freaking flexes, it may get better when the upholstery's in there, but because this isn't solidly welded and it's got, well, it's just that thing, and because this unscrews and it hinges back, leaves it very weak. This flexes around a lot when you go to try and close the door. But that's alright. Oh god. So you got to fight with it a little bit. I don't think it was quite that bad before I painted it and had the doors, double-checked the doors, but it's one of those things. Anyway, so I'm kind of finished in this region, I guess. I've still got to work that frickin' piece of that bolt out for that brake pedal. I haven't got back down there yet. And I'm kind of running out of stuff to put on this part of the body. And I don't really want to put the front sheet metal work on yet. I'm getting close. But I'm just, I thought about putting that on, and then I thought, I really need to paint the bolts. So I undid out the bolts. So I just give them a wee spritz with a rattle can. I'll just give them another one. The biggest problem is I didn't need to leave them frickin' a couple of hours to frickin' whatever. I gave these a coat too. Those bits that sit on the outside of the doors. I've only got 4, meant to have 8. There was never 4 here, 8 here, I should say. Those bits that fit through this door to hold side curtains on. He doesn't have the convertible top head for it anyway. But yeah, at some point he can find some, make some, buy some, whatever. But yeah, so I was going to put that on and I realised I need to paint those, and I need to do the same. The horn fits up on here, so I need to get those screws too and find them and paint them. I cut these hoses because you couldn't get them off, but I really probably need to try and get that off properly because this hose was so fucking hard. I just cut it in the end with a sawzall because I couldn't get them off when I pulled this thing apart. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do there yet. And I'm half tempted. So I've got a couple of cans of silver paint to mask this up and and clean it up and paint it too. We'll see. Yeah, this frickin' door handle pisses me off because it hangs low. It's getting better. I've lubricated the locks a little bit. I'm trying to get this one to wants to keep hanging like that because the lock's not coming out. I think there's a bit of lube and a bit of use, it'll come right. You know what I mean? But anyway, it annoys me that it hangs, but it is what it is. But they actually look quite good. Handles don't look too bad with a wee bit of a buff up. Like they're never going to be polished. I'm never going to try and make them that way. I just try to clean them up and give them a wee bit of sand with 400 and then 800 just to try and give them a wee brighten up, and then just rub them over the buff. Just make them look half decent, if you know what I mean. They're like they're almost like pot metal, I guess you would call it. They're like I don't think they're steel. I think they're like an aluminium sort of pot metal sort of mix. I'm not 100% sure on that. I think they're sort of similar sort of stuff to whatever the inside ones are made out of. There's only 2 good ones of these. I've given that a quick buff. It's a bit pitted. But yeah, they were originally all nickeled, so they could be sent away and be nickeled too. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at the moment. At some point I will get in here and put the rest of the screws and bits and pieces in, but it's just mucking around painting those bits up. So it's about 11 o'clock Saturday morning. I'd like to put this stuff on, but I'd just like to leave it another, probably till tomorrow. I'll probably come back down here for another half day tomorrow and see if I can get this thing almost finished. I don't really want to be screwing around with it next week, but looks like I might fucking have to. I can't get the fucking thing out of here anyway. Pain in the ass. It's just, yeah. It just took a wee bit longer to get the body painted than I thought. I was hoping I was actually going to get it painted. Like, sort of Saturday last week. Well, this, like a week ago, but it was Monday by the time I got it painted. So yeah, I think I probably would have been together if I'd managed to get it painted Saturday, not Monday. But it is what it is. I haven't got much to go. It's just a few bits and pieces, but it's just a matter of getting stuff cleaned up and on, and work out what I need when I'm doing each piece. That's the biggest thing. It takes time. You can do half a dozen little things and then clean it up and paint it and whatever. Actually, I should throw that little front piece on. And do that. Yeah. I might throw that little bracket piece on, wherever that is. And do that, and a couple of little odds and ends before I bugger off. I may come back down here later on and just try and get a bit more stuff on it. Yeah. Haven't got a lot to go, really. Hopefully. I probably won't end up with everything on it that was on it anyway, because he's going to have to go through a few bits and pieces and wire it up and screw around, so won't matter too much. But anyway, carry on. Yep, power brick's definitely toast. So I got this plugged into my phone now, and it should start charging. You should better hear a beep when I plug it in, but nothing. She did. So that's the first one of those I've had fail on me in a fucking long time. But anyway, what I decided to do is I just got one of the running boards over here just to check and see how much steel I need. I just don't know if this is going to be heavy enough though for a running board. We'll have to see to make this bottom frame. It could repair this, but it's pretty shot. You know what I mean? It could be repaired, this one. The other ones are really hammered. Like I'm going to make these after the car's gone, but that's a good pattern. When I've got everything back together, we'll tape the edges up of the guards and we'll just sit that back in place. and the other one back in place, make sure that both sides do fit, and just get a double check measurement, and we'll remake those. I'm not worried about all this stuff on top. I can't do much with that, but I can soon make a couple of new bottoms for them. And see, it's actually all folded up. It's all, I don't know whether it's individual pieces or not, but we'll find out when we get it cleaning it apart. But anyway, I'm just mapping out the battery tray, and I think I've got enough steel here at the end of this, just in case I do use this to start making those, because this is the only 1mm I've got. Everything else is heavier. I may end up making them out of 1.6 or 2mm. We'll just see what happens. I think what I could do is make the basic frame out of it at a 2mm at those guys' place, like map it out, draw it out, and then make a couple little L brackets that I could put in there, and some other bits and pieces to put underneath to stiffen it up out of the 2mm. Or I could use a bit of I might better even use some of that to help stiffen it up underneath, like put some some verticals in underneath it, like it is, because it's actually, I don't know, it looks like it's all folded, like links folded up. Do you know what I mean? It's been all, and then like squished together, like that would have had to be all done in one piece, sort of like folded up, and it would have been slowly gathered up as it went through a set of rollers or something like that. I'm not 100% sure how they would have made that. I've got ideas, but don't really have the machinery to do it here. But I could soon fold something close. That's to squash this up is the issue. But it wouldn't be hard to fold that up in one piece, and then put some strips underneath it to stiffen it up, and then obviously make these pieces and weld them on with some bolts and whatever. But yeah, I think I've got enough material here to make this. I'll be close. So I'm just mapping this out. I'm going to get this cut out today, this morning, and it looks like in the bottom it's had a couple, or a bead roll, or a big wide fat, so like hammered in bead. I might just bead roll it, or I might even use a step die and put a couple of big steps in it, one way and then turn it around the other way. So I may just use, like, wherever my biggest step is, one of these big steps, and step die it, and I could use that big 3/4 one, and roll it through, and do a couple big stiffeners in the bottom, and then maybe it's had a couple big scallops on the side of it. I don't know if I'll do that, but I might just do, I could, but I might just do a couple of stiffeners in the side too, and then it's obviously these pieces here are just flat. Now there's a few holes drilled in it, and these here put onto it. I might cut them off and just weld them on. We'll just pop the rivets out and weld them back on. Just use the original hardware. It's not hard to put a couple of notches in and whatever. Put a couple of drain holes in it too. Would be sensible. Put 3 or 4 drain holes in it, so at least if a battery does leak, it's not going to sit in there and pour, it's going to run out. So yeah, we'll get creating that. I'll come down back to you when we'll get it just starting to cut out, and we'll see how far we can get this morning anyway. I'm going to spend all day down here. I was going to put this in, but because it's got this stupid spring thing in this cap, I can't get it off. So I might have to get the missus to come down here and see if we can get it up here. I'll put a heap of tape around there to try and stop that from being scratched. But if I might better put it down there, and she might better try and guide this back through the fucking hole, and we'll jam it back up through the hole, and see if we can get it in there, and then I can put the straps on and whatever. I'll just lie down on the ground and hold it up and see if we can get it up through. and then I can put the rest of it together. I did put the what do you want to call it, the vacuum tank back on. Yeah, we'll carry on with this. Right, so we got a battery box kind of made, tech screwed together, bracing on the bottom, whatever. So I'm just going to go quickly sit it in the hole, and then we'll weld it together Monday, but I just want to make sure everything lines up and fits, and then we can mark holes and whatever. Right, better run away, but I think the bolt holes line up down there, I think. I know it roughly it's close enough that I'm pretty sure that everything lines up. I'm not 100% sure. It's a bit awkward to see with the battery tray in place, roughly. But I think that's good enough now that we can weld that all together tomorrow, Monday. Put 2 or 3, 4 drain holes in the bottom here. Probably, maybe, I think I'll probably end up putting 6 or something like that. Probably, maybe even 7. Put 3 in that one and 2 in that, and I might even just drill the corner out once we've got it all welded together, just so it can run out in the corners too if it needs to. Yeah, apart from that, like, it's only just a couple little odds and ends to do, like the little pieces to weld on to hold the battery down and whatever. So yeah, it won't take too long to finish it tomorrow, hopefully. So I think what I might end up doing is getting, if I can, I'll get the missus down here to help me to get some of these last awkward things on, and then I can finish that. And I might have to make another video, to be honest. I've got almost a 2-hour video at home now. I'm trying to put this thing together, but yeah, it's going to be a bit longer than that. I don't really want to, like a 2.5 or 3 hour video. I might have to break it up. I was going to try and do it one more. Like, really, it's only just bolting the radiator on, putting that front valance on, what kind of just sits in there. I might make a couple of rubber washers out of some bits of rubber, just so when those bolts come up against them, or those nuts come up against them, we might make something so it's just not tearing into that paint. Bolt that on, then we can slip the hood on, well, all the guards on and then the hood on, one or the other. Yeah, and just a few last bits and pieces, really. There's a few hours working it, but it shouldn't be too bad. Hopefully I can get it in the next couple of days, surely. Get the last of these bits done. But yeah, I just slipped that in there to make sure it did fit, and make sure the bolt holes were roughly in line down there. It should be right because the dimensions are right, but I just want to, just double check, make sure we are in the ballpark before we finalise anything, just in case we had to change anything. But it should be good. And then we'll just give it a coat of black when we're finished. Alrighty, we'll catch you later. Right, morning guys. So, Monday. So, I'm about to jump back into this battery box. We'll run a few more tech screws through it, because I obviously want to put a few more holes in here. These panels here will actually get welded on the inside, not the outside, because they're on the inside on the original. I just put them on the outside because it was easy and fast just to go. So I'll bang probably another couple of screws through just to give us a pilot hole, and then when we put it back together we can just put a couple more screws in it, and then we can start welding from the inside, or start welding it up. I want to do a quick clean up obviously around the edges, just get rid of all the sharp edges off it, make sure that it's sharp, run the deburring tool around, and obviously give these panels up where they're going to overlap, a quick clean up. I blew a couple of holes in the bottom here before we left yesterday, And once I get it wired together, I'm actually going to put a couple of holes in the corners as well. I'll put a hole in each corner, just so, again, if it gets full of water or a battery leaks, it's got somewhere else to run out, not just those little trays, so can go out the corners of two under acceleration or de-acceleration. Not that that's going to accelerate that hard, but you know, if it's going uphill, downhill, or whatever, it just means that whatever's liquids in there is going to run out. It's not going to get trapped in there anywhere. Hopefully, save it doing that. Again, so yeah, we're going to get those little brackets off to hold the battery down, the top, and a couple of things like that. So yeah, we'll get into it. And then Mrs. will be here a little bit later on, a bit after 9. Go grab her so she can give me a hand to put the tank in, a couple of other things, because the young fella gets, he doesn't go to school till about 8:45ish, so by the time she drops him off and then gets back home again, it's not that far, it's only sort of across the road, down the road a little bit from home. It's almost kind of across the road, but not quite, if you know what I mean. So by the time she make sure he goes to school and whatever, yeah, then I'll go pick her up and we'll get the tank in and maybe a couple of things, and then I'll finish the battery tray off. We'll get that in. I already, as you know, I tech screwed the holes for one end, so we'll open them up and then we'll have to obviously put the holes in the other end. But yeah, we're basically, we'll say 85% of the way there. We're just going to finish it. So we'll get that, bang a few more holes through it where the holes need to be to plug weld it together. We'll pull it apart, clean her up, crank up the old electric glue gun and glue her together and make it pretty and bolt her in. Pretty much. Right, so that's the battery tray made and sprayed. I don't really know what to do for here, between here and here. I'm not really sure what the original bracket was like, so I'll kind of leave that as a blank. I don't really know. I'm guessing these here are for the cables to come in and out of, depending on obviously how you wanted to loop it. But yeah, without having a battery in there, kind of hard to tell. So I'll just say I've remade that. You know, you might have to make a bar or something to work out exactly what you're going to do to hold a battery in, depending on what the heights are and all that sort of stuff. But it's the same as the original, so we're as close as I can get it, if you know what I mean. So I'll just let that dry for a bit longer. It's a bit sticky. I sprayed it before lunch. So yeah, we sprayed this freaking radiator. I really need to just fucking tear the paint off it and spray it properly. I was going to put it on, but it looks like fucking garbage. It was pretty rough, and I was like, oh, we'll just fucking give it a quick scuff back and we'll blow a bit of paint over it just to make it look tidy. But now it looks worse because it's fucking... So I might run around it with, I don't know, something, and just fucking tear the paint off it. Biggest pain in the ass is it's still got badges and shit and whatever on it. We could drop the radiator right out of it, but I don't want to be spending fucking hours trying to clean that kind of thing up. Pain in the ass. Because he wasn't going to worry about it, but I just thought it looks fucking absolute garbage. If I want to take some photos, it looks like shit. It's probably alright from 20 feet, if you know what I mean, but yeah, anything less than freaking 20 feet looks like shit. Just fucking annoying. I actually thought it might have been a bit more glossy than that, but I was not really sure what to do. If I had some freaking 220s from a DA, I would quickly run over it with that and just pull it back, if you know what I mean. Try and make it a wee bit better, but we'll see. I really need to freaking get this thing back together. So I wanted to put that on. It's kind of why I sprayed it this morning, just so I could sit it there, bolt it on and whatever, and carry on, but looks like shit. But we did get the fuel tank in there. Not sure if I showed you that or not. I've still got to finish doing the bolts up, but so that's in. So yeah, it worked basically. We put a set of vice grips on here, poked it up through the hole. Rachel grabbed that and wiggled it through the hole without doing damage, and I just held the thing up, and she slowly pulled it up until it popped through. And then I screwed around putting the straps on. I was going to obviously put them on a wee bit better and tuck the bits in and whatever, but it's in there, it's holding up. The nuts are just loose at the moment. And yeah, in between other stuff, I was finishing that battery tray off. So yeah, I'll get finish putting some bolts in there and tighten all that other bracket up and put them in and tighten everything up. So yeah. And I don't have the hardware for that, because it wasn't on it. So I'm not quite sure what to do about that either. He's going to have to find something. I imagine it probably had some decent sized bolts. And I think, I'm not really sure what's going on here either. I think this has had like a big stud or something through this. I don't really know. And then, or whether it was, I can't quite work out how it's meant to be. Like, I could look at some photos, but it's got like such a small slot in here, and that's such a big freaking hole. Like, that's a big bolt. Like, I can get my fucking finger in there just about. So it's like, I don't know if it would be 3/4, but it would be fucking heading towards there. What's that? That's a 5/8. Yeah, it could be a 5/8 bolt. Or a little bit less, 9/16 maybe. It's a big freaking bolt. Because there's no way that would fit through there either, if you know what I mean. So it's like it's like a stud or something winds in there, and then got whatever, sits on the outside of this to hold it on. So I don't know. It never had anything. I don't see anything in amongst the bits that were sort of loose to hold it on. And obviously it was something similar on here. You know, it probably had a, I don't know, some sort of nut bolt system on that as well. You can just have it back like that. You can work it out. I don't know. But anyway, I'll carry on. We'll get some shit together. Work out what I'm going to do with this frickin' thing, because it looks absolutely fucking terrible. I just wanted to blow a bit of paint on it to make it look half decent, but it kind of looked worse. I don't know whether I could maybe just sand it back again and then go again. Just rip it back with a bit of 220 again. I'm trying to get some of the height off this and then give it another coat of paint and see what it looks like. Right, I stripped this back actually with a Scotch-Brite disc. Oh, frickin', I haven't got glue enough here. I try to get around these bolts, but it's a bit awkward. I might do it again, to be honest, and around some places and then just mist it back in. I might try and get it around here a wee bit better too. It's a pain in the ass because I'd dearly love to pull it apart, but I just don't want to be screwing around with it, to be honest, if you know what I mean. I kind of wanted just to tidy up and I'm going to end up fucking like, I may as well pulled it apart and fucking stripped it all back and painted it properly and fucking pulled the badge off it and done it all properly, if you know what I mean. Fucking pain in the ass. But I just couldn't live with it, you know what I mean. And as much as, you know, like I'd really like to fucking paint it properly and get fucking whatever, you know, put some 2-pack on it or whatever, like it really needs just, you know, for, as I said, for a few grand to do the few bits and pieces that it needs done properly, like the bumpers and the radiator and the door handles and bits and pieces like that, you know. You might as well spend it, but at least it's all halfway tidied up. I'll give another sand around in places and just see if I can bring it back a wee bit smoother, a bit cleaner, and then just dust it in again. It's only got another couple of coats of silver on it now. I might just let it dry off and rub it out with some 240 again and just see if I can get some of the shit to sit down a bit flatter, and then just give it another coat and see what it looks like. If I have to give it 2 or 3 coats to get it to come right, to look half decent, well, it is what it is. I'll just keep screwing around with it. I just would like to frickin' put it on here so I can finish putting all the rest of the sheet metal on. But I'm going to put the battery tray in and get that locked in, get all this stuff locked in, go around and double check all the bolts, and I'll get that fuel tank locked in. And then, yeah, I'll just see what I can do. Just keep playing with that until I can get it cleaned up. I was hoping to get all this shit on today, but it's not going to happen. But if I can get that sort of a final run at it tomorrow, it'll be alright. I don't want to be spending too many more days. Hopefully I can get the fucking grass seed out of the fucking road too. Just pain in the ass, because I'd like to try and at least be able to get something else in here if I can get something in. You know what I mean? But yeah, otherwise I'm going to be back to the same scenario I was there fucking a few weeks ago, where if I don't do anything else shortly, I'll be looking for something to do, if you know what I mean. Something else to do. Pain in the ass. It's just the way everything's gone just recently with the fucking, these governments trying to, I'm fucking sure they're trying to screw the fucking world over so they can pull all their agendas and 15-minute cities and their fucking, I don't know, this climate change bullshit, which I've got no qualms about trying to fucking keep their air clean and fucking green and whatever, but if you do the actual research, like the carbon shit, like, you know, several thousand years ago, it was like 4 or 5 times stronger than what it is now, and that's why all the fucking, you know, why all the mammals and everything were all so big way back then, because they had the carbon to grow bigger and stronger. Like we don't have it in the atmosphere now. That's probably why the you know, you hear some of those, there's some weird rumours going around about some of the races that were around years ago, like that were really huge, that supposedly all these, there's lots of fucking conspiracy theories going around at the moment, like some of the big World's Fairs and shit that they, you know, built and freaking 24 hours, frickin' or a couple of weeks or whatever, all these big massive buildings that, they had no clue of frickin' building. Like the Egyptians and all that sort of bullshit. Like, maybe things were completely different back then. We don't know. Well, I really don't know. But, yeah, I don't know. I think they're trying to hide shit, to be honest. The government. But, yeah, we'll see if we can get this in. I've just dug through my bolts and bits and pieces. We'll throw some bolts in here, throw an extra couple of bolts in that bracket down low, get them tightened up, and we'll go from there. And then we'll let that dry a bit more, and I'll give it another wee rub out and see if I can just make it tidier so I can bolt the bastard onto my... Righty, freaking noisy tractors. Anyway, so I've got this. It's okay. At first glance, it's okay. I don't know whether I picked up so I just dusted it off with a couple of rags a couple of times, and I probably should have wiped it down with some frickin' wax and grease again, but must have a bit of grease or something in it here and here. Fuck, it is what it is. Now I could sand it down one more time, I guess, but I'm not gonna. It looks reasonable now. It's not perfect. It's better than it fucking was. I'll demask it shortly. Well, finish demasking it shortly. I'll just let this harden up a little bit further. Somewhere along the line, I'd lost the other one of these. Are like in a piece of strap round with the bolts should have captured in them. So I just made one of those up. For some reason, I don't know. I think it somewhere along the line in its travels going backwards and forwards to the sandblasters and being turned over, that one's fallen out for some reason. Those are right. I've made another one. I've got that, and I've got to finish bolting it in. So I've just been jumping backwards and forwards between stuff. Done anything else? Not really. I've sort of just been sanding that and made that, and started putting this in. And I when I was underneath, I dropped the spanner in, so I climbed back up, and I think I left the ratchet down there, so I started sanding that, and I haven't got back to it yet. So I'll dig that out and sand, tighten those up. And then, I was doing something else too. Oh, that's what I was going to paint frickin'. These are some like little funny guard washer bits and pieces that sit. I think it's these 4, but I've only got 3 now because, well, I've got 4, but one's broken. One broke when it come off way back. Broken but still here. Yeah, so. And I don't know where. I don't see the washer. I can't remember if it was there or not, to be honest. So I got 3. 1, 2, and there's the other one here. You can see why it broke it off, because this one here is freaking chewed through as well. Oh, so is that one. That's about the only one that's half decent. So almost really need to make those, but I'm not going to. He might be able to water them or make them. I'm just going to put a slightly bigger hole through here and just flick a little bit of black over those. Put them on. I'll just do the best I can with what I've got to piece it together. I'll just stick an extra, like a slightly different bolt in it or something like that, just to get it by. And if he wants to find the right bits, he's got a lot of little stuff he needs to find for it anyway to try and, I guess, make it. He's got to get it's actually something I got to do too. I was going to tap those freaking holes in here, I think. With that one there, I think. I'll have to double check that. Because they are threaded in. The rest are all just bolt and nut. Because I was just sitting there on there before too, to get ready to throw on. And amongst everything else. Yes, that must sit over top of the guard too, doesn't it? Yeah, it must do. So it has to go on after the front fender goes on, so it's right. I won't worry about sitting that there. I was thinking that they slip down over like the Studi, but no, they don't. They sit over top of part, so I won't worry about that yet. But I will try and tap out those holes. I need to put the tail light together. Well, what I've got of the tail light, I don't have the glass, I don't think. But I've got the bottom glass and a few other bits and pieces, so I'll throw that back together. I don't have the rear glass. I thought I did. Amongst that stuff I was going to put it together, but I had a hunt, it's not in here. Well, there's headlight, not headlight, what do you want to call it? There's like the glasses for this stuff, but it's not for, I don't think for other, not sure what that's off. Looks like fuel filter or, I'm not sure, something. So yeah, there's the other one of those, and I think I might have a piece of that. I think, yeah. So I don't know. I painted it anyway. So we'll put what we've got back in it, and that can be put back on as well. I'll bring that around here while we're remembering. Yeah. So let's take that side. So yeah, we've got the glass and a few little odds and ends just to put back on it. So we'll do that. Sorry, I'm bouncing backwards and forwards here. This is the bits for the thing. We've got the original number plate there too. Clip some washers and nuts and bolts, whatever. Look at this crap. Yeah, and I've got to check those threads. I'll do that in a minute. So yeah, we'll throw that back together in a minute. It's kind of not much to throw together, to be honest, but we'll put it back together how it was anyway. And you can go from there with that. Yeah, so I think I'll work out what screws I can use for. And I'll use this one as my reference. Sitting here. So you need to find out what those short, flathead type screws go in. Where are they? A bit like this. I think these might do, but I'm not sure. We'll find out. Alrighty, so I was just looking at these to try and, because I used these to those two I re-tapped back that going to that casting for that steering box bracket, or mount, whatever you want to call it, because these other ones go through with a nut and bolt. And I was just looking at these to see what they look like, and I just realised that these are absolutely cactus too, and there's only a couple of three good ones. I think there's another couple over amongst there that aren't any good really. So I'm going to make some. So all I'm going to do is just put these in the drill and get my roll locks and just taper the edge of this back. I've already done a couple for the other bottom half, so I'm just going to do 6 more, and that'll replace the rest, because I've got these are metric, but at the end of the day, you know, what do you do? So I got plenty of these. So I grabbed 6. I got more than enough nuts there. I can use the old spring washers. So I'll just take these with me. I'll show you what I do. I should grab the tripod. Life a little bit easier. But so I started putting that together and then I realised the little screw that goes in there, I painted that one black, so I just painted the other one. I hadn't painted it because it was out of it. So all I'm doing is putting these in here. Bugger. Freaking one-handed life, hold on. I can grab the tripod. Freaking damn sight easy, wouldn't it? This is all the frickin' shit that takes the time. You wonder why it frickin' takes you an extra frickin' 10 days to put something together. It's all these little things, you know, you go through, oh yeah, frickin' I'll clean those, paint those bolts, and you look at them all and they go, oh fuck, they're all rooted. And it's the biggest problem you're dealing with old shit like this, you know. I really need, I think the next job I do, I might try and make I've seen it a couple of times. People get an old big pot or something like that. They make I think it's like a vibrator. Get like a orbital sander, like a cheap orbital sander. Put it on the bottom of it, tick screw it on, and then you fill it full of like garnet, and just throw your nuts and bolts in it, and it just sits there and just vibrates for hours, and it cleans all the shit off. So instead of me sitting there for hours sandblasting all these small stuff, it just sits here and vibrates and cleans it all. So I can just strip it all off, throw it in the thing, you know, maybe de-gunge it a bit if it's really covered in shit, and then what do you call it? Throw it in that pot and let it freaking shake away for a few hours and clean themselves up, and then I can assess whether I need to replace them or not. But anyway, turn the grill on. Close enough. Next. Too bad. So you can make it smaller, mate. Let's get more. Right, you softly catch it with your jaws too, you know. Done. That's the first two we did. Alright. Now a couple steps closer. All these little frickin' jobs. Right, morning guys. So this video is getting longer and longer and longer. But anyway, I've just made a new hood to radiator stay, or cowl to radiator stay. I'm not sure if there was one or not. I have to look back through the photos. For the life of me, can't find it. I thought it was that, but the owner did come in here the other day and took a whole heap of stuff away. So I don't even know if it was in amongst that. There was like a lot of the timber flooring and bits and pieces. And I just don't know whether he's picked it up with that, because for the life of me, can't find it. So I've just had to frickin' make a new one, because obviously I want to put this fucking thing together. So we've got the radiator on there. We got the valance in there. Yeah, I'm not really quite sure to do here. Like, obviously this doesn't line up very well. There's not much I can do about it. Fucking thing's painted now. It sits up a little bit. I sort of sat it on there when it was initially without, just the hole on there, without all the other bits in there, and then obviously the motor in there. And I thought, oh, you know, that doesn't look too far away. But it may have been slightly lower, but you'll still get the handle in there, okay? I might just have to, I haven't put it on there properly yet, because I found a couple of washers that I could paint up black to slip over there so the nuts don't gouge in. Obviously we might give the nuts aren't the right ones either. It's like everything, like the pins all need replaced. So I didn't really get fussy with that sort of stuff. If it was mine, I'd actually get something a bit nicer and put on there. I don't really know. But I might just pull that off again and just spray that front of that piece black so it doesn't stand out. So yeah, I've got this on here. I wouldn't say I've nipped it up, but I haven't got it tight because I haven't got everything on there. But I want the rod in here so I can set this distance, and I just realised that this frickin' thing here really needs repaired, but not quite sure what I need to do. I'm going to have to probably get my green frickin' paint out and just maybe brush paint that just off and then sit it on there. And because it wasn't fucking on there, that's the biggest problem. When this car came in, like, none of the hood stuff was on, so it kind of doesn't help me. But yeah, I'm going to have to try and work out something for here to hold this down. If I'd realised that, I probably would have frickin' put this in first before I put the dash in, which is a pain. I'm just not quite sure what I'm going to do there. Because yeah, it's not as though you can get in from under here, because it's got that tapers out. It's not as though it's a hard shoulder and you can slip it in from underneath. Because even the rope stuff's going to be frickin' interesting to put on there. Unfortunately, I'm not doing it. But yeah, I have to work something out for that, or I might just have to put it on temporarily or something. I don't know. What I'm going to quite do there, I have to work that out. Yeah, I just sprayed that rod. So yeah, that's kind of, is that what all I've done this morning? apart from putting those bits on. Yeah, I think so. You just had to make that rod, had to go get a bit of steel on that for it. Yeah, for the life of me, I can't find it. I thought it was like that other thing. I get a sneaking suspicion, I could be wrong, but that may go between the lights maybe. I have seen photos of these things with the bar between the headlights, but I just don't know. That's the biggest problem, is like it was sort of half pulled a fucking apart when it came in here. I have looked at some things. I did look at a couple of pictures last night and try and work out how this goes on. Yeah, and it must have some sort of big bolt that goes in there, and then it sticks out here, and then it's got like some sort of big nut on there, and it's the same with those. Like it's just a big nut and a washer on each side. So to me, I would go get a nice big shiny one and just Loctite it on. Big dome head nut or something like that, and just Loctite it on, or even paint them black. I don't know, just for a wee bit of contrast, bit of bright stuff, I guess. You know what I mean? It's kind of what I'd do. I'd only found a couple of pictures with this on the back, you know, without a spare wheel being on it, if you know what I mean. Because basically the spare wheel hides it. So yeah, we're getting there. I'll just need to wait for that paint to dry and wait for those to dry. This is the rod that goes through here, I think. Yep. So once we get that bar in the centre, I can put this together. I actually should flick a wee bit of edge on that. Bit of edge on those, or something. This is the side ones, and that's the centre one. I should flick a wee bit of edge on them, but yeah. You can see they've been rattling around loose in there for a freaking long time. So yeah. It's kind of where we're at to at the moment. I was hoping to have all this sheet metal on, but because I couldn't find that brace, I need to make it. Well, we're just not quite there yet, but because I mainly want to put the tops on so I can get my spacings, get this orientated right, and just sort of kind of, I guess, sit the sides in a bit like what I did with that. Maybe slip those rods in and out a couple of times, just make sure I get everything balanced right, and then we'll throw the front fenders on and go from there, if you know what I mean. And then we can put that in. We can slip those sides back in later at any point, if you know what I mean. Might even leave them off, to be honest. Might have put a bit of tape around, well, mainly around here. But probably put a bit of tape around here too, because there's nothing for it to sort of sit on in the meantime. It's not terribly dear, that stuff, either. Yeah. So it won't cost them too much. It'll be, I don't know, 50 or 60 bucks, I think it was, for the stuff to go around there. I think it was, it mightn't even be that much. Yeah, it'll be about that much. Yeah, around that sort of figure, you know, 30, 40, 50 bucks, something around there, 60 bucks. I can't remember, in New Zealand. I think it was about $30 a metre, or somewhere around about that, $25, $30 a metre. So there's only a bit over a metre in each one. So yeah, 50, 60 bucks, whatever sort of deal. Right, we'll just have a wee look at this paint. It does dry out, and it's not as though I've poured like 15 coats on it here or anything. Yeah, it's not too bad. I'll leave it for a little longer. I did file a flatten it, so I can put like a little spanner on there, spin it around to help tighten things up so it doesn't keep turning on you. I did do that. I'm not sure if that was on the original or not, but yeah, he may have it, then he might want to swap it back on, but yeah, for the life of me I can't work out if it was here or not. Yeah, I don't know. As I said earlier, I thought it was that, but I've got a sneaking suspicion that could be a brace that might have went through here, but I don't know about that either, to be honest. Because this doesn't have, I'm sure I've seen them with a bar between these two things on the front fenders, if you know what I mean. Across in the middle of the radiator. Look across here. I think I've seen them like that, but I may not have either, if you know what I mean. That doesn't look too bad. It's not terrible. It's not pretty, but it's not terrible. It doesn't look too bad. Be nice if it was nickeled, but you can do that at some point. But anyway, we'll carry on. Anyway, yeah, I'm having issues. I don't know. This hood and top was never on this when it got here. And I am suspicious that it's not the original from the car. I don't know. It could have been, but that might have been on some stage, but it really sits like shit, and I just can't quite work out what's going on. I have to have just a bit of a check, make sure the body doesn't need to go that way at the front or something stupid, because I can't move the radiator sideways. Maybe a jiggle, but it's fucking miles off. It may be twisted. I need to double check that too. But to be honest, I actually probably need to double check to make sure the chassis are level. I just don't know if it is, because you can see, actually that's sitting really cockeyed, isn't it? Looks cockeyed. People's body. I'll need to check and make sure that the front of the chassis is level by the looks of it, and just make sure that radiator is sitting down properly. Because yeah, it is sitting freaking wonky. This was on it when I got here, when it came. But the hood and top sides were never on it. And when I stripped it, I found an unusual colour paint on it that was completely different to what this was underneath. But yeah, something's not sitting right. I just need to have a bit more of a workout. I need to check here. I can barely get I can get my finger underneath here, but it's tight, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Just something really off. I just can't quite put my finger on it at the moment. But yeah, maybe I need to level the chassis just to make sure it is level. Just a couple of things like that, because yeah, it's, as you can see, I've got some tape on here and it's just sitting like garbage. Righty, I'm kind of winning. Part of the problem was I didn't realise I had it one click down on the ratchet on the axle stand on the other side. That definitely didn't help. So yeah, that definitely didn't help. But I think I might have to try and space the radiator up on that one side to get it to tilt this way. Just gonna have a double check here again. So we're about 44.5 centimetres. I'm just going roughly. Yeah, we're kind of close. It might be a little bit lower on the side, but you know, that could depending on tyre pressure too at the back. Because it was on its tyres. But yeah, it's like we've got a bit of a gap here still. It's like the whole thing needs to just still rock this way a little. I've got a little bit of backwards and forwards. I've got this tight at the moment. I've got the valance back in there. I don't really like these nuts that are on the front, but what do you do about it? Kind of not much I can do about it at the present point in time. It's too close here, but I need to better just shove this over if I can. So I might have to loosen this radiator off, lift it up, which is a pain in the ass. This is nowhere near as easy to put together as that thing was. Unfortunately, that's kind of the way this frickin' rod system works. You've actually got to unscrew this out, whereas that there you only had to undo I can't remember, it was a nut in the front here, and undo a nut and just slip this out, and then you could pop the thing out, if you know what I mean. Like this is you to wind it back out of here, or undo the nut from the other end and rock it forward, and then you got to try and catch this, and yeah, it's a bit awkward. Whereas that one there, you can just pop the nut out, get that rod out of the road, and then you can hold this and just rock the radiator forward, if you know what I mean. But this sort of lets everything go all at the same time. It's not ideal. I put plenty of heat tape on here just so nothing rubs. But yeah, we need to just crank it this way a little bit, so I'm going to have to undo that and maybe put a washer or maybe possibly something like that underneath it, or like that underneath it. Probably not that one, but you know what I mean. It needs to be a decent size hole. Can't remember what the size they are, but one of these bigger washers at least, just to see if it kicks it over enough. We'll try something like that, just underneath one side, and just see if it makes a difference. So I might do that now, and then we'll come back to it. Hopefully I can do that before Mrs. comes and picks me up for lunch. At least then I can know that once I've got that right, I can do a quick test fit of the sides. We can just slip them in, push the bars through, because they should just push through, I think. I think they should just slip through. If not, we'll clean them out, but yeah, it might be a bit of pain there. They're not going to quite just slip in there, but I don't think it'll take much encouragement just to clear them out. Yeah, it won't take too much encouragement to get them in and out. By the time we've done it a couple of times, it'll be alright. So yeah, I want to just make sure that they fit. Are fitting okay, don't have to adjust anything else up or down or anything stupid. And then we can rock the front fenders on, and yeah, then we're down to the silly stuff like headlight brackets and windscreen posts, and throw the front wheels on, and just nut and bolt a few things, just double check a few stuff, see if I can find, so we get that bolt and that frickin' brake pedal. Oh, I gotta tighten up the bolts around that steering box. I haven't done that yet. Haven't nut and bolted all them. I've got to find the bolt that goes through there, through the what do you want to call it, the drag link arm. Put a bolt through there. Yeah, just a few bits and pieces like that. Yeah, just I've got to put the cover on the drive shaft, but yeah, that's the main of the cosmetics, if you know what I mean. I'll have to have a look at this windscreen frame now that I can get around in here. I haven't stripped or cleaned anything off with that. I have to have a bit of a look at that. It's kind of one of those things that's awkward to paint, if you know what I mean. Like, I could. We'll have a decent look at it to see what sort of nick it's in. If it doesn't look too bad, we'll just pop it on. Maybe at some point, if he wants to pull the glass out of it or whatever, we can get it cleaned up a bit better, if you know what I mean. But yeah, she should look pretty good by the end of the day. Should look basically complete anyway, and then we can test the running boards on and stuff like that. But yeah, we'll carry on. Yep, it's almost like the radiator's not high enough at the front. I think it's part of no shoe. I'm not 100% sure on that. But she's got that look about it. I haven't got the other side on yet. I might throw that on too and just have a wee look. See if it's the whole thing's going to come up, or whether it's just the front. Or it's just this side, if you know what I mean. Because it's obviously on the right side. You could put them on either way, I think. These ones. But like, obviously naturally the air wants to come out through here. You know. Pretty sure. Just double check that. Pretty sure the vents go to the back. Yeah. So they won't fill up full of water, and it just helps draw the air out. But yeah, fits like poo. But yeah, I think I'll throw the other one on. Just to check, and then we might have to space the radiator up quite a bit. I just had it on there like how it was sitting. It's got like some rubber blocks on it that's actually stored on the bottom of the radiator now. I don't think I had anything different in there, but yeah, I might have to make some half decent spaces up, because it doesn't even want to sit forward, if you know what I mean. It wants to sit like there, even to get it sit straight. And I think that will help me here too, if you know what I mean. the whole thing comes up. Obviously we don't want it to come up a heap because otherwise it's going to start looking weird, but yeah, the whole thing wants to come up. If I bring that up, is it going to, yeah, it might do. If I bring this side back up, I don't know, it's weird, it's a pain in the ass. This is where all the fucking time goes, you know, you can spend 5 hours just trying to make shit fit. After it's all said and done together. So I think I spent fucking like a day and a half screwing with that, just trying to get it right. Which just sucks because you know, he's probably going to want to take that off now and send it away, and then you have to do it all again. But in theory, once you've got it set once, as long as you put the spaces back in the right place, it should be right again. But yeah, throw the other side on and we'll check that and see. Hopefully I can get these pins out alright. These are pretty tight on this. Those ones there slide out quite nicely. I could pull them out now. Like you I could just get a small screwdriver and just push it to the other end and just pull the pin out and take it out. But this here you wouldn't. Yeah. Anyway, we'll throw the other side and then we'll just see where we're at. We'll come back to you. Right, I think we're trying to win. We're getting closer. We're getting closer. I figured out, I think my main issue was this, the brass tinge holder. It can move backwards and forwards. I completely forgot about that. I just threw it up there and screwed it in. I don't think much of it. But yeah, it's got quite a bit of left to right adjustment, whereas the old Studio was, she's welded on there. It's part of the body, I think. Yeah, I think it's riveted on, but yeah, so it doesn't move. But what I did is I moved this back in and I dropped it one washer on the front and it kicked it back again. So what I'm doing is, because I'm just trying to get things to sit the best I can. I can get this gap better at the front, obviously, and at the back. This side's okay. It's not bad here. I wouldn't say it's too close, but to get it a little more even, I can close this gap up a little bit. I can wind the nut on the centre rod back a little bit. I'm just trying to get things sit even first. So I think what I might do is I might just lift the whole radiator, just put one of those washers. I just cut the seam out of a washer so I can just undo the bolt and slip it. And it's there and they're trying to lift this fucking thing right out. You can't do it. Not when you like this, otherwise you've got to pull the whole thing apart and put it all back together. So I'm just basically, mate, it's turning some washers into a shim. I'm just trying to see if I can get them right, and then once I've done them right, I'll pull them out, I'll give them a quick clean up and we'll blow a wee bit of paint on them and we'll slip them back in so they're tidy. We're trying to get the spacings right first. So yeah, I think that's what I'll do, is I'll shim both sides, and that'll at least lift me and swing both sides forward at the bottom, and hopefully we might. Right, so I lifted that. Kind of happy with this. I'd like to see it with the webbing at some point, but I don't have it here, and it's probably not going to have it before it leaves. Right, so I've just started putting the front fender on, but I've got I wouldn't say an issue, but I didn't think about it, to be honest. And behind here, and it's the same frickin' issue as the old Studi. And I remember that I used all my 5/16 frickin' riv nuts on that now for a similar issue. And I don't have fine 5/16 here either. So my next course of action is probably 8mm or 6mm. That's sort of, I guess, we're close. And I was thinking that maybe, because here and down there is where it's meant to have these. I've only got 3 washers and 3 of these. I do have the other bolt, but it was broken. But yeah, they don't go into anything. And with the balance in there, it's probably not so bad with the back one, because you can get in there, you get your hand in there. It's not so much of an issue, but I was actually contemplating getting a couple of 8mm nuts, and opening these holes out, putting some riv nuts in, so you're not freaking fighting with shit, because you can't, once you got this panel on, because you got to put it on first. Well, yeah, you do. It's not much around it. You possibly could slip that on afterwards. It's not ideal. You could put the bolt through and leave it loose and then try and frickin' manoeuvre that underneath and whatever. But it's not easy by itself either. So my thought was drill that out to fit an 8mm riv nut in. Put 4 in. Get some 8mm bolts. Mimic this, because whatever. 5/16, is that close to 8mm, I think, isn't it? That's borderline. I think, because 6mm is too small. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that that's kind of the equivalent, if you know what I mean. If you're looking for something similar sort of size. So that's kind of my thought, is if I can get a couple of 8mm bolts with whatever size head they are on. They're not going to be that thick, but I could still put a minor taper on. Put 4 of those in, and be done with it. Was kind of my thought. Biggest problem is I haven't got a fucking car here. The missus has still got the fucking thing, so I can't really do that till the morning. I can soon put the riv nuts in, but I would like to frickin' have a look at the bolts first. Just decide whether it's what I want to do. It would just be damn sight easier if I can do that, because then you can, put the bolt in, bolt it down, and frickin' be done with it. I think that would work quite nicely, because I've only got the 4 main on the main brace, just fingers sort of tight, enough to hold it frickin' thing there anyway. Yeah, but I'm probably going to have to take it back off again to do those, if I do put riv nuts in there. So let's make life easy. Especially the front ones. Because you just can't get your hand in there. It's a pain in the fucking ass. So yeah, that's kind of a plan. Righty, good afternoon, people. I didn't do any filming at all this morning. So that's the bar that goes between the headlights and across the front of the grill. I'm going to have to break this video up, but because it's huge. Just basically the assembly of this thing. Just going through all the little trials and tribulations. So as you can see, we've got both front fenders on now. I did put the riv nuts in the chassis. I freaking wish I put them in there for these as well. I could put 6mm ones in for them. I didn't, but I probably should have, because it would have been really easy to do. Fortunately, I had the missus here to help me do them up. So where are we at now? So yeah, I got these on. I'm just going around tightening all those up. We've set this one headlight base in there. Have I tightened these up yet? I'm not sure if I have. No, I haven't. So I lift that out. We just popped it in there just to see, make sure everything was right. So yeah, got these on here. That's the one that hasn't got the rest of it, if you know what I mean. I've kind of got this as good as I can get it without really making things weird. I could lift it a bit more, I guess, but it kind of, until the webbing's in there, that may help things, if you know what I mean. It's one of those things, until they get the webbing in there, you're not really going to know exactly how it's going to sit properly. But yeah, it's very dirty at the moment, but we're getting there. Yeah, I haven't got any bolts in around there, but everything else is all in and done up. So you were just dialing in the last little bits and pieces, and then we can fit the old running boards on. Just sit them in. I'll put a bit of tape on, so and if I do sit them in there, they don't scratch. We can just double check to make sure nothing's changed. And these are sitting, well, probably more so that the front's sitting in the right place. The back can move a little bit too, I guess. There's a little bit of to and fro on the bolts, but we'll sit down and then make sure that they are within where they're meant to be, and just see. It looks like they're roughly in the right place, kind of, you know what I mean. Haven't pulled everything up completely. Yeah, those ones sit over top of those ones. Yeah, those ones don't, but not standing on. So yeah, we just want to make sure that they do fit once we got all the bolts, rest of the bolts in, which I'll do shortly. So this is kind of where I'm up to. I only just put another wee coat of paint on that front headlight bracket, but I'll get the rest of these tightened up and just double check everything else that we've put on. Yeah, and go from there. Again, it's one of those sort of little things, you know, you sort of get bits and pieces cleaned up and you realise you got to paint the bolts and whatever. So, but yeah, the 8mm ones work perfect. They work really well. I would have liked them that it's the pain in the ass. You can't get like a deep head nut per se, you know, like to try and make them like that. You know, it's just, well, I don't mean a nut, but a bolt. You know, like they're only as thick as these. It's a shame you can't get ones that are a little bit deeper that I could have made them look a little bit more like this, but this kind of is what it is. Not much I can do about it without making special stuff. And at this point in time, yeah, it doesn't really matter for this. It's not going to be a concourse restoration or anything like that. So yeah, it'll be just a nice old car, and hopefully he gets it running. It runs all right, and yeah, he can keep working on the little bits and pieces. But yeah, I've just kind of done my part. We'll get it cleaned up and tarred up any other last little bits and pieces, and yeah, get it together, and hopefully we're really close. I'll probably throw the pieces in for the windscreen shortly, and we'll just carry on. We'll get it all bolted in. Right, we'll carry on. We'll come back to you when we've got her a bit more complete. Right, so I think basically, yeah, that should fit pretty much bang on within reason. Like, that guard's done up tight and that guard's done up tight, but you can always loosen the bolts off and just, you can wiggle a little bit if you needed a little bit of space. I might make it just a hair or two short, you know, like, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 mil short. It just sucks, just in case, you know, like it's not going to matter a huge amount. I'll do some measurements and whatever, but that's the one for that side, and it looks like it's, without too much effort, it wouldn't be hard to fit if you made it identical, but obviously not stuffed. So that's cool, that's awesome, I'm glad about that. So yeah, I just got to put the bolts on the other side. I've got to open the holes up. It originally had 1/4 inch bolts in there, and I don't have any. Like all the ones that we've used that were really good back in the headlights. Bases, I didn't really want to drill them out, whereas the ones underneath, you know, what does it matter? You know, if you run a drill through there and put a 5/16, not a 1/4, it doesn't matter shit. Really, that's what's in everything else, if you know what I mean. Like all the other bolts that hold it in, those ones just happen to be smaller, so I just open them out. So I have to do that with them too. Yeah, because I ended up with all the 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch ones in the headlight bases, because that's what's meant to be in there. Got that bracket on, that beam, and really it kind of just pretty much slipped in. I think I just had to put a little bit of pressure just to get it to bump in for start off. You know, it was like hardly anything, like it was basically lined up. I just think I just had to, just put a wee bit of pressure on one to just get it to pop in. And it was just a matter of just giving that a thump through, and then did it up loosely, slipped the headlight buckets in. I'm not going to put the rest in. He needs to go through and clean that stuff up. I did start polishing one of the rings up just to see whether it would polish up all right. Yeah, they will. There's actually that I don't know what's off. Because I looked at that for start off, I thought, oh, that's not going to fit, and then it's like, oh, that's broken off. And I had another look. Oh, there's some extra ones in there. So yeah. But yeah, like this all needs cleaned up. The reflectors look like they might need resilvered, but like that, they had to be all resilvered. Well, this could do with a little bit of panel beating, but like, you know, with a bit of a buff up, they'll come up. Well, you can see what that one's like compared with that one. And that was just giving it a quick rub without doing much. I just gave it a quick rub on the buffer wheel. It's the same with these lights. You know, he can clean all that up. That'll give him something to do. I'm just trying to get this together so I can get it out of here. You know, and get it basically looks like it's a complete car with a few odds and ends to go on, which is what it'll be. Now he's got to go through and put wiring in it and put new hoses on it. Like these were like so hard, you know, and this was even worn through. You know, it needs a new belt for the fan, and lots of bits, pieces like that. So yeah, he can do all that. I can give him a few ideas of places to go, like the guy that made the belt for the Studebaker, which I've actually got to put that one there on, since the other one broke. It's unusual that they break. Like he made them all, a lot of them for the truck museum that Dad used to work for. It was, you know, total conveyors down here. Like they, you know, just go in there and they're just making it out of belting material and glue it together. And like normally they don't give any issues, but like if he wants one, you know, or he can put a leather. I think it was a leather one. It's still here somewhere, but it's pretty rotten. You know, that could go back on, and we'll get one made, and you know, just a few bits and pieces like that. It needs a new fuel line run through it and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, we're close. I'll just get those bolts in, get that tweaked up, we'll test fit that. Yeah, and then we'll finish the last few odds and ends and just make sure we haven't left anything loose, or double checked where you haven't got some bolts to put in some bits and pieces. I've still got to muck around with that brake pedal. I've still got to put a couple of bolts in that battery box. Just I've got to do them from underneath. So yeah, there's a few odds and ends, but we're just about done, really. Like I could just tighten everything up and go, here, you know, you can have it now. It's yours. You know, you can go through and just finish all that. Like really, I probably would have painted that dash, but he wanted to leave it. That was, you know, his dad and that painted it way back in the 60s when they first got it, which was with that funny green it was for start off. So they wanted to leave, you know, some of the originality in it, which yeah, I can understand. It doesn't look that bad, really. You can say, well, yeah, we repainted the rest of the car, but we left the dash original because it was in, you know, half original shape. You know, it wasn't in too bad a nick. So, but anyway, we're just about done. Another couple of hours, you know, maybe a wee bit tomorrow just to double check everything, go around a lot of the bits and pieces and just make sure we have got everything that needs to be tightened up to take it away, tightened up, and then they can go through it. Like he's got something that's going to go through and get the motor running and all that sort of stuff. So they'll be doing lots of bits and pieces and mucking around with stuff anyway. So a lot of it they'll probably pulling stuff off and putting that stuff back on, and like these throttle linkages really need repeat. You know, some of that stuff needs repaired. Like I could have done it, but you know, it's a lot more hours if he's got somebody else that's going to puddle around it and do it for bugger all because through the family. Well, you know, they can do that. Anyway, we're not far off. So we'll carry on, and yeah, we'll get these last little bits and pieces on. Yeah, just wanted to test that running board, at least to know it fits. You know, we're not a million miles away, so if I use that as a pattern and make it as close as I can to that, you know, as long as the measurements are reasonable, you know, we can give that a little hammer and dolly to make sure it is straight and whatever. You know, I might make it just a tick shorter, like 5mm. You know, the thickness of a bolt sort of type thing. Or just might make it just a wee bit shorter, just in case. Like if it was mine, I'd be putting that rubber edging around it. To be honest, I would have probably put that rubber edging around everything, like I did on the Studi, but he didn't want to go there at this stage. I suppose if they have to pull it apart to pull the motor and box at it for any reason, well then they can muck around with all that shit. But it should be fine. I think I don't know if it was like this factory or not, but it's kind of the way it come to me, if you know what I mean. Before I pulled it apart, but yeah, we'll carry on. We'll get these last little bits done. Righty. Morning, troops. Weather is crap. Poor buggers didn't get much there. He must have got one pallet of seed on. I still got another one here to put on. Well, I think the weather's fighting them. But anyway, so corner at the windscreen stage. Again, one of those things where you look at it and I just go, I kind of don't want to touch it, but I don't want to leave it how it is. So it's got a lot of overspray and crap on it from, I don't know, many moons ago. You can see I don't know whether it was all the rubbers going on it. That's something he can replace at some stage. I'm just going to clean it up, make it look half decent. It's got lots of overspray on it, and it's got green on it and whatever. So I think I'll just give it a scuff, tape it out, blow a first coat of rattle can black on here, try and pretty it up, get rid of all the overspray that's on it. If I can, I'll get rid of the overspray on it first from then, 100 years ago. Try and clean it up. We'll try and make it look, you know, half reasonable. It's one of those things I didn't really want to play with too much. You know, if he's going to put new rubbers in it and whatever, and pull the glass out of it at some stage, well then, you know, it can be painted properly. At that point, you know what I mean? It's screwed in through there, like these caps glass must slide out past that. And I assume this is probably beam rubber. That's probably part of that little metal bracket there, so that's all fallen to bits as well. And badly taped up. I'm trying to clean it up a bit better than it was. Try and mask it better than it was. You can't do any worse. Well, you could, but it'll make it look half decent. Give it a quick clean up. Fresh coat of rattle can over the top, and at least it'll look reasonably tidy. It'll smarten up a little bit. As far as I can tell, the last time this was registered on the road here in New Zealand was 1966. 65 to 66 is the sticker on it. I can remember the stickers being like this, but not really. They were like this for quite a few years. And then they changed them a little bit. And then you kind of put them in the same place. But the ones I obviously remember, they've been like this for probably 30 years now at least. We got like a little just plastic card that slips in like a little sleeve on the windscreen, and it gives you all the details of the vehicles. It's been like that for at least the late 90s. It's been like that a fair while. I can't remember when they went away from these kinds of stickers. It could be even longer. It could be even in the 80s. I can't remember exactly when they started doing that. Right, so I got the window frames drying. I'm still going to clean up this other stuff. I'm going to give that a quick clean up and paint that, and obviously the other little bits and pieces. I don't know if I'm going to paint this or not. It's not actually in that bad of order, and I don't want to sort of gum it up too much with paint. I can maybe just give it a very light dust. Maybe, we'll see. But the old mirror is pretty done. There is a little bit of reflection in it, and it's very dark. But I'm going to try and clean the mirror off, and I'm going to buy. I'm going to get the missus to go buy that mirror paint that you spray on the back of glass to remake mirrors. It mightn't be really 100%, but it'll be kind of the way they would have done it. So I'll give it a couple of coats, and then we might put a bit of black on the back of it or something like that. We'll see how that works. So I'll get this cleaned up, and because I've also got to do the one for this studio, and I think I've still got the glass at for that here too. I think I know I've definitely got the frame. I've got the frame which is very similar to this. Well, it might be in a different glass I was thinking of, but yeah, I've got the frame which is very similar to that one, and I'll take the measurements of this for the mirror, and at some point I'll get another piece of glass cut. But we'll clean this up, and hopefully that mirror paint will work, and we'll get a half decent result. Well, it can't be any worse. That's very dark. So yeah, we'll try it and we'll see what happens. And we might just give it a quick coat of black or something over the back of it just to help seal it up. But yeah, so we'll do that as well. Righty, hopefully you can hear me here alright. Hopefully the heater's not too loud and the rate's not too fucking noisy. So I'm in the midst of trying to figure this freaking windscreen out, frame and mechanism out. It's a bit of an oddity to me. I haven't struck anything like this. I've seen plenty of them like this sort of thing, but I've never played with them, to be honest. The worst part about it is when I pulled this apart, there was a whole little ball bearings that fell out of it. In the end, I only managed to find half a dozen or so. So I just got a cheap bearing that had the same size ball bearings in it and took it apart. Because there's a whole lot of them in there. Unfortunately, I've only got 3 of the bits that hold it together. One of them was apart. He could have it somewhere. I don't see it amongst the bits. So if I can get the 3 of them together, well, it's better than none. We can always find something just to help hold the other one in place while we put it in, I guess, you know what I mean. I managed to get the mirror to look okay. It's alright. It's not great, but it's alright. I did try and spray. I've actually painted it twice with the mirror paint. It might be okay if you left it and then sprayed something on the back of it. I contemplated just putting a coat of silver or black or something on behind it, just to try and kind of seal that mirror paint, if you would say. But anytime I try to, even if I left it for a good hour or so, as soon as I sprayed something on behind it, it dissolved the mirror finish and it went all clear, so I had to wipe it off and try basically go through. Basically just got to keep misting light layers of that mirror paint on it till it builds it up till you get a decent shiny, and when you point it towards a light source that you can't see through it. But anyway, there's these funny little ball bearings that go in here and against here. I'm not really sure how many is meant to be in there. I'm thinking it's just the 4 in each one. There's 4 positions in each one. But I'm not entirely sure on that. I think that's what's meant to be there. I've been trying to find a little bit of info online. I'll try to see if I can find a 24-ish Dodge windscreen frame diagram, maybe to show me how all this bits go back together. I got a rough idea, but you know what I mean? Just to maybe shed a little bit of light on something, just in case I'm missing something. You know what I mean? There's been something misplaced or whatever, I don't know, you know. What it looks like, if I get that one there, you can see where the bearings have been rubbing on there. So I'm guessing this here, I'm not entirely sure, I can't remember. I just sort of pulled it apart because there had these springs in there, and as soon as I undone the little nuts up there, it just all fell to pieces. Like all the bearings fell out of it, and I was like, okay. I didn't expect it, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think what it is there meant to be the 4 little balls in there, and there's a whole heap, I don't know, 16, I'm guessing, probably little dimples in there, and as you turn it, it sort of clicks, so it holds its position. And I think this is meant to sit on there, and that's meant to hold pressure on it, but let's get the little bastards to stay there. I might have to get a bit of, I would use grease, but I'm thinking maybe just a bit of Vaseline or something like that. Put a big goob in there and then poke the thing that will help hold it until I get it all in place, which I want to do. And then hopefully once I get a bit of pressure on it, it holds everything together, they won't run away. I think that's how it works, but I don't really, that's kind of what makes sense, if you know what I mean. A lot of times you look at things and you sort of wonder how did that go together, but it's kind of the most obvious. The little ball bearings sit in the casting holes, that plate pushes them behind them, spring holds pressure, this big washer, since it gets here, holds pressure against the spring, and then the nut goes on and it holds it all together. I guess it's basically like just a valve spring, to be honest. It's probably valve springs that didn't pass spec. They probably just cut them in half. To me, that's what it looks like. Because, you know, I would imagine like a valve spring might have been getting on, you know, it could be, you know, just all the ones that didn't pass spec, that they just go, we'll use them for windscreen springs, you know. What does it matter on that? It's not as though it's on a load or anything. Well, it doesn't matter if it fails per se, you know what I mean? It kind of looks like that. It'd be actually interesting to compare notes to see what's the same sort of thickness and diameter, probably. or even maybe old model ones, you know, old model car stuff. You know, might have been springs off, something like that. But yeah, I'll go get some Vaseline, try that, and see if this thing holds together without all these bearings disappearing. That's the biggest pain in the butt. You can't really hold it, everything all in place, and try and get them to stay. They might do. You know, like as soon as you let something go or move, they just all fall out. So we'll get some Vaseline. Righty, so just made an intro for this video, which should be about an hour later or more. Very earlier or more. Alright, so you come down here yesterday, me and Mrs. threw the windscreen in. I actually just put the wiper motor back on there. I don't know how long I'm going to stay here, to be honest. I just want to get the last few odds and ends on and sort of sort out the last of the bits and pieces to go in some boxes and whatever else, so this thing can go away. And then obviously, over the next few weeks, once we get something else in here, which we'll talk about shortly, hopefully. Yeah, got the running boards to still make, but we all got them, there was patterns. I'll get them to leave them here and I'll make them over the next few weeks, and then you can come pick them up or something. But yeah, so we just put that in, have it tightened up, so we have to tighten the bolts up, or the nuts up on there, pop the windscreen, wiper motor in. I haven't put the arm back on it because it's got no blade on it. You can see it's been scratched on here anyway. So that glass will have to be changed or polished up or something at some point, but I'm not worried about that. So yeah, I just put the arm there, so, and left the blade off. Well, it's got no blade. I think there might be a blade, or remnants of a blade, if you know what I mean, amongst the last bits in there. So yeah, I've got to put the brake rods on, the horn on, check a few bolts, double check just see if there's anything else I can pop on quickly. That pull grab handle for in the back behind the seat here, I don't have any screws that will fit. I'll just have to double check. I think they're they might be quarter fine. I think well, quarter 20 is the course, I think, is it? I'm not familiar how with these guys' wording. I think they're quarter fine, I think. I'll look through here, so I might have a couple of quarter fine, but they're the countersunk screws. I don't have anything. I've got 6mm, which is basically the same. I could tap them, but if he wants to go find some quarter-inch countersunk machine screws, whether they're fine or the course, I think they're fine. Then he can pop that on. Like it's not a biggie, if you know what I mean. So yeah, there's a few bits and odds and ends like that. So we'll get to it. Some of these have been buttoned up. It's still sitting on the axle stands at the front. I haven't dropped it back down its wheels because I've got to tighten the front wheel up. It's on. I've just got to nipple the nuts up. We just poked it on yesterday. I also want to actually jack it up a bit higher so I can just get those brake rods on, so I can go underneath a bit easier. Yeah, and then later on today, I'll have to give my mate a ring with that 65 Chev that I've been trying to get hold of him for ages. I actually messaged him yesterday, thinking maybe he might have been home because it's been Easter weekend, but he's been away camping. I imagine he'll be home now because it's freaking pissing down with rain. Well, it's not pissing down with rain, but it's really very moist and wet out there. It's actually quite humid. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to go have a look at his 65 Chev, have a yarn to him, and just see what he wants to spend, or what he's prepared to spend in the meantime. See if we can work out some sort of deal. Like an hourly rate figure and what he wants to spend, and see what I think I can get done for that. The biggest advantage of that, it's stripped, it's been bare metalled, it's been sandblasted. I'm not having to prick and pull the interior out of it. I'm not having to pull it all apart. I just can get in there and work within reason, if you know what I mean. Yeah, it's mainly a few rust issues, and I think if we can get into body work and getting it blocked out and getting some primer on it, whatever, yeah, we will. I think he wants me to paint it. We'll just see how far we can get and what sort of budget he wants to work with. In the meantime, we might get it so far, I don't know, say 20 grand into it, and then we might have to stop for a while until he's ready to spend another whatever to get it painted or type thing, or move a bit further. We'll just see. I need to talk to him, but I need something else in here. Well, I've got a wee bit of work to do on the studio, but I've got to be careful because basically what it's costing me to run this place, basically instead of me paying him and then him paying me back for the work were chopping and changing. Been a bit silly. I should have every week done a few hours on that, sort of like say Friday afternoon, Saturday sort of type thing. If this wasn't such a push, I probably would have. But yeah, I probably should have done that. Just spent just to absorb a few hours, just so I haven't ended up quite so far ahead with that. It's probably I'll probably get about $2,500–3,000 worth of work to do on that for kind of nothing. If you know what I mean? But if I can keep plugging away at it, yeah, because basically it costs me $10 an hour to run the place, so that's going back into that. Not that there's a lot to do on it, but there's a few odds and ends. A wee bit of mucking around yet. We've got to go through and retap a few screw holes because we couldn't get screws and put a lot of that junk in and whatever. But anyway, we'll get into this. I've been waffling too long. I get good at that. Sorry. Right. Right, I'm just trying to work out these brake rods. This is the handbrake one, I know that. That's the brake one. Yeah. Because I was looking at videos and bits and pieces. Biggest problem is I can't see whether that rod is on the top or the bottom. I'm thinking it would be mechanical advantage for it to be on the bottom to pull the brakes on further, against the ratio for the pedal. I'm thinking, I think you would want it so it's got more mechanical advantage to the rear brakes than to the pedal. I would think. I'm just trying to put my head around it logically because I can't see. And I try to have a look maybe some diagrams or something online for a 24 Dodge. And I can't see anything. Like there's lots of stuff coming up from Model A's and bits and pieces. I did find a couple of things of the chassis for the Dodge, but it was from above, and it sort of just showed the lubrication spots and whatever. So, it had all the rods and everything there, but it didn't show whether, which one was on top or which one was on the bottom. It doesn't matter for the handbrake because it's parallel, like it's on a T, but that's upper and lower, so it's for mechanical advantage, for leverage. So I think that's the way it goes. I'm not 100% sure. So yeah, the other thing I've got to realise, I need to put that hard forward so I can hook the front one up because it was pulled. So I'd obviously pulled the lever out of the road. So now I can get back underneath there and hook them up. Put pins in the front. Let's see if we can get a couple of bolts in this. I'll have to have a scout around and just see. I want to find a few bolts to put in there to start off. That's the biggest problem because there were so many dead bolts, I guess you'd call them. you know, they're either worn or stripped or broken or whatever. I've robbed bolts from other places to fit other stuff, if you know what I mean. Like they're not all on the bow housing. The majority, like there's probably 3 or 4 missing in the bow housing sort of type thing. But I've had to use them for other places, you know, where the ones that were for other places were broken. Just for some. He's going to have to go through it. Like there's enough there to hold it together. And I know he's got a, I think it's a friend of the family or a cousin or something like that likes mucking around with this old stuff mechanically. So he's going to go through and do a lot of the wiring and obviously get the motor running and all that sort of stuff. I just hope this thing doesn't bite them in the ass and they're going to have to pull the whole fucking thing apart to pull the motoring box out because it just pisses all everywhere and whatever. But, you know, I did say. But anyway, so we'll find a couple of bolts of that while I'm down there. I can throw them in. I think these ones here. Mrs. was picking stuff up the other day and sorting some stuff out. I'll have to go through these bits and pieces. I know this was on the firewall at some point. So I just had a fire extinguisher or something. Was it fire extinguisher or something like that? I won't worry about putting it back on. I'll just put it amongst the bits and pieces. So yeah, I don't know. I'll have to find some pins, some split pins, because all the old ones are buggered. To be honest, a lot of the little pins are buggered too, but they'll do in the meantime. They can go through there and replace a lot of that sort of stuff. They'll have to. It's all worn. Some of it's okay. I've actually put the really worn stuff in the handbrake and put the better stuff in the brake, in the foot brake, if you know what I mean. Because that's one you're going to be, if you do happen to push it around or rolling it off something, you know, well, I'm hoping. You're going to be looking for the foot brake, not the handbrake. I think I've got pins here somewhere. Or have I given them back to Dad? Biggest problem is not much open today. Still. Doesn't matter. I do some of the ones, yes, I do. I don't know if there's many little fine ones. Have to see. I need to get a better selection of stuff. I do have some other stuff as well. These might do, some of these ones. Pop some of them through the holes. Stop things from rattling out. And yeah, we'll keep going. Right guys, so that's done, apart from probably a good wash and a clean and whatever before it goes. Maybe organise a few bits and pieces. We'll see. Still the horn's got to go, but they're going to muck around with the motor and they're going to muck around with wiring and whatever. You know, the lights all need polished up and whatever. Not that one, but they all need polished. I'm not sure whether these will come up. You know, there's a few things like that. I don't know whether they will come up good enough to use as headlight reflectors to pass usable, if you know what I mean. But yeah, basically I'm done. That's pretty much as far as I'm going to go within, I think, within reason. It just needs a good wash and it can go. You know, if there's a properly old spot that you maybe need a polish or a buff or something like that in another week or two. Just once it's had a chance to harden up, obviously they're going to go through and they're going to get it running and driving and go through the mechanicals a bit more on it. Hopefully they don't have to pull the fucking body off to do anything. Because if they're going to pull the motor or the box or whatever, anything like that, well, yeah, it's body off. So hopefully they don't have to do any of that. Yeah, but that's kind of where we're at with this. It's done. I've just got to organise the last little bits and pieces. Sort the bumpers out, and there's the wiring. What's left of the wiring down here. I'll pick that up and put it on the bench if I can get. So this is kind of what was left of the wiring. And that was it all half pulled apart. Anyway, there's not a lot to it really. It's a bit of a thick spaghetti. I would probably just go through and well, I wouldn't say necessarily replace it, but it looks like it's had stuff added to it because there's newer and older wiring in it. It really needs just gone through and done properly for the amount of wiring that's there. You know what I mean? Some bits and pieces like that. But yeah, she's done. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this series on this build on the, well, I'll call it a restoration, part restoration. It was more cosmetic and obviously body wise and whatever, was my side of it. You know, there's some things we didn't do because of purely money factor. It's, you know, the windscreen can be, you know, that can have the glass replaced at some stage and maybe the frame tidied up and some new rubbers put on it. You know, the grille shell can be reasonably easily taken off, sent away to be re-chromed and whatever at some point, along with door handles and bits and pieces. We haven't done any of that. You know, the wheels need painted, but the tyres need replaced. Now we just hearted them up in the meantime until he really decides what he wants to do. That's the dodgy wheel. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this series, I guess you'd call it. Hopefully we'll have a 65 parlour in here very shortly. very shortly. Yeah, I'm going to go talk to the guy after lunch and see how that goes. And yeah, that'll be probably the next one amongst with some other stuff. I think not the old Land Rover that's out there, but another one. I think is guy wants some work done to one of those. It'll be, I think it's just small bits and pieces. Obviously we've got a little bit of work to do still on the Studi now that that's kind of out of here. And we'll see what we're doing with the 65. I'll throw a little bit of that in it. I want to try and get that buttoned up with everything else apart from upholstery. But yeah, we'll leave that to another video that will explain what we're going to do to that. Just a few odds and ends that we've discovered, I guess. We've given it a wee bit of a run. And a few bits and pieces like that. Plus there's obviously other stuff that we just hadn't quite got to finish, like headlights and bits and pieces, but yeah. But now we've got a load of that stuff back, we can go through and start working out what we've got to find and fix and whatever. Get the last of that sort of stuff sorted. I don't think it's another month or two before it can go for upholstery. It might be longer than that. But hopefully you can tweedle out of here shortly too, just to give me some space to work and stuff. Yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe and give us a thumbs up and leave a comment and whatever. But yeah, that's all done. I'll give you one wee last walk round. Oh, like I said, the only other thing I'm going to do is make running boards at some point in the next few weeks. But that's not a biggie. I've got them here to make them off, but yeah, like I don't have the tail light and bits and pieces like that. You know, there's a few odds and ends that need done, but that's stuff that they're going to have to do. But yeah, she's done. Really. Our girl looked quite sharp. It's a shame that I couldn't have done that properly and bits and pieces like that, but kind of is what it is, you know. And plus, when you start pulling that apart, you know, how much do you send the radiator wiring? Yeah, that's what I would do if they're going to do that, get it nickeled or something like that. You'd get the radiator sent and flushed and cleaned and gone through. You know, you never know what you're going to find there either. You know, you pull it apart and then all of a sudden you're into another can of worms. So you got to be careful what you do sometimes. Anyway, thanks for watching. Cheers.